Welcome to Tabo Eminent Channel. Pope Francis, born Jorge Mario Bergoglio on December 17, 1936, in Buenos Aires, Argentina, served as the head of the Catholic Church from 2013 until his passing on April 21, 2025, at the age of 88. He was the first Jesuit pope, the first from Latin America, and the first non-European pontiff in over a millennium. His papacy was marked by a commitment to humility, social justice, and reform. Early life and rise in the Church. Thanks for watching. Request you to subscribe the channel. Born to Italian immigrants, Bergoglio initially worked as a janitor and food technician before entering the Society of Jesus in 1958. He was ordained a priest in 1969 and became the Archbishop of Buenos Aires in 1998. In 2001, Pope John Paul II elevated him to cardinal. Known for his outreach in impoverished areas, he emphasized pastoral care and social issues throughout his ministry. Papacy, 2013 to 2025. Elected Pope on March 13, 2013, following the resignation of Benedict XVI, he chose the name Francis in honor of Saint Francis of Assisi. His tenure was characterized by progressive stances on various issues, including environmental protection, economic inequality, and inclusivity within the Church. He advocated for the marginalized and emphasized mercy and compassion in Church teachings. Final days and passing. Pope Francis passed away on Easter Monday, April 21, 2025, due to a stroke and heart failure at the Casa Santa Marta, his residence in Vatican City. In his final hours, he expressed gratitude to his healthcare assistant for encouraging him to make a final appearance in St. Peter's Square on Easter Sunday. Funeral and legacy. His funeral is scheduled for Saturday, April 26, 2025, at 10 a.m. local time in St. Peter's Square, presided over by Cardinal Giovanni Battista Re. Pope Francis will lie in state from Wednesday to Friday in St. Peter's Basilica, allowing the faithful to pay their respects. He will be buried in the Basilica of Santa Maria Maggiore, honoring his personal wishes. The Guardian world leaders, including U.S. President Donald Trump, French President Emmanuel Macron, and Prince William, are expected to attend the funeral. Italy has declared 5 days of national mourning. While many laud his compassionate leadership, some survivors of clerical abuse have criticized the Church's handling of abuse cases during his papacy. Remembering Pope Francis. Pope Francis is remembered for his humility, dedication to social justice, and efforts to modernize the Catholic Church. His emphasis on mercy, care for the environment, and outreach to marginalized communities left a lasting impact on both the Church and the world. Pope Francis, a humble shepherd of the modern Church, born Jorge Mario Bergoglio on December 17, 1936, in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Pope Francis was the first pope from Latin America, the first Jesuit pope, and the first non-European leader of the Catholic Church in over 1,200 years. The son of Italian immigrants, he grew up in a modest household and initially worked as a janitor and chemical technician before answering a spiritual calling. He entered the Society of Jesus in 1958, was ordained a priest in 1969, and eventually became Archbishop of Buenos Aires in 1998. Known for his humility and deep connection to the poor, Bergoglio would often take public transportation and visit the slums of Buenos Aires, earning him a reputation as a bishop of the people. On March 13, 2013, following the unprecedented resignation of Pope Benedict XVI, Bergoglio was elected the 266th Pope of the Roman Catholic Church. He chose the name Francis in honor of Saint Francis of Assisi, signaling a papacy centered on humility, care for the poor, and environmental stewardship. From the very beginning, Pope Francis broke with tradition, eschewing the luxurious papal apartments for a simple room at Casa Santa Marta and choosing more modest vestments. His messages resonated globally. He emphasized mercy over judgment, inclusion over exclusion, and a church that should be a field hospital for the wounded of the world. Throughout his papacy, Francis took bold stances on global issues. He was a vocal advocate for addressing climate change, authoring the encyclical Laudato Si', which called for ecological responsibility. He championed economic justice, warning against the dangers of unrestrained capitalism and growing inequality. He also sought to make the church more inclusive, reaching out to LGBTQ+ individuals, interfaith communities, and those who had felt marginalized by church doctrine. However, his pontificate was not without controversy. Critics pointed to slow reforms in dealing with the sexual abuse crisis within the church, and some conservative factions opposed his more progressive outlook. In his later years, Pope Francis faced a series of health challenges, including chronic knee pain and respiratory issues. Despite this, he remained active, continuing to travel and meet with world leaders, refugees, and religious figures. On Easter Sunday 2025, despite frailty, he made a surprise appearance in St. Peter's Square, waving to the faithful and offering his final public blessing. Pope Francis passed away peacefully the next day, on Easter Monday, April 21, 2025, at the age of 88, due to complications from a stroke and heart failure. His last words reportedly expressed gratitude for the people who encouraged him to stay close to the faithful until the end. In keeping with his humble nature, he requested to be buried not in the crypt beneath St. Peter's Basilica, but in the Basilica of Santa Maria Maggiore, where he often prayed at the start of his overseas missions. His death has triggered a period of mourning across the world. Italy declared 5 days of national mourning. Leaders from every continent, including US President Donald Trump, French President Emmanuel Macron, and Prince William, are expected to attend the funeral on April 26, 2025. Thousands have already gathered in Rome to pay their respects, as Francis lies in state at St. Peter's Basilica. Legacy: the legacy of Pope Francis is one of compassion, reform, and a deep-rooted belief in the power of love and mercy. While opinions on his reforms remain divided within church circles, his efforts to bring the Catholic Church closer to the people and to the issues of our time will remain a defining mark of his papacy. As the Church prepares to choose his successor, many are reflecting on the profound moral and spiritual imprint left by the first Pope Francis. Francis reigned over a period of widespread change and reckoning within the global Catholic order and within society at large. Throughout his papacy, he was noted for his support for the plight of refugees, migrants, and the impoverished. Since their beginnings, he had been outspoken in his criticism of the wars in Ukraine, Sudan, Gaza, Democratic Republic of the Congo, and Myanmar, notwithstanding numerous other conflicts and acts of suppression against the civilian population globally. He kept with clerical precedent in opposing the death penalty in all cases. He appointed more than 80% of the cardinals that will elect his successor, notably reducing the European share of the College of Cardinals from a majority to a plurality. He was celebrated for his outreach to China and the African continent, his tolerance towards differing faith communities, and his attention to younger Catholic adherents and the changing nature of the faith.